Okay, I think we can start. We have 33 on the call. So, hi everyone. Happy Friday. I am Tara McGee. I work for British Airways, American Airlines, and I am also chairperson of the VUSA USA. So welcome today to our first webinar. So we're putting these webinars on to give you sort of more in-depth and a quick go-to on the different suppliers that we have and focusing on specific regions today. Each supplier will have about 10 minutes. And if you have any questions for that supplier or any of the suppliers afterwards, just put them in the chat and we will get to them. If it's directly to one of them afterwards, we'll try and get to them straight after that. So first up today, we will have Hayley French, who looks after Los Angeles tourism. And Hayley, you can take it away there.
Great. Just making sure you can see my presentation okay?
Yes, presentation's up there and we can hear you perfectly.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Tara, and thanks everyone for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time. So Los Angeles, let's go through what's happening. My name's Hayley French and I'm the Director of Travel Trade for Europe and Middle East for Los Angeles Tourism. And, why LA? LA, there really is so many different reasons to come to LA and come back again. There really is something for everyone, whether your clients are looking for something in the arts and culture world, shopping. We have something for everyone's budgets, whether it be high-end shopping or small boutiques or outlets. We have an amazingly culinary scene, some great attractions and studios. We're obviously home to the entertainment industry, some sports and live events that we're going to touch on briefly, and also outdoor and wellness. We're very blessed to have on average around 300 days of sunshine a year and over 75 miles of beautiful coastline. So it really does lend itself to getting outdoors. Just touching on the geography of LA, if you haven't been to LA, or even if you have, I think this is really a useful way of looking at it. We break LA up into a series of different regions, as you can see there. So we split it up into the beaches, the west side, which is areas such as Beverly Hills, Hollywood, the Valley, downtown LA, and mid-city and South Los Angeles. So within those areas, we say, pick a neighborhood to stay in, really explore that neighborhood, and then maybe go to a few different neighborhoods during their stay and really group those activities that are in their neighborhoods so you can really maximize the time that you've got in the destination. Moving on to LAX, it's never been easier to fly direct to LA. We're very blessed with healthy direct service. Obviously from Ireland we have the fabulous Aer Lingus flight, so it's easy to get to LA. LAX is going through a multi-billion-dollar expansion and development, really putting the LA back into LAX and really improving it, whether it be the eating establishments, the art installations. But there's also some great additions. So Skylink, which was previously known as the Automated People Mover, will actually open later this year, and that is kind of like the Skylink that's going to link all the terminals. It will link to the car rental facility that opened a couple of weeks ago, and then link out to the metro. For the first time, we'll have links to public transportation from the airport. So we're super excited about that, making your clients an easier arrival experience in LA. And that's just the map of where the Skylink is going to connect. Moving on to, as we said earlier, I was going to touch on it, a huge focus for us at the moment is the sports. We have LA, we think of LA as a sports capital of the world. We actually have more teams than any other US city. We also have world-class stadiums as well. So as you can see, we have 12 major teams here, from the Dodgers to the Lakers, basketball to the Clippers, ice hockey teams, with the newest addition being the new cricket team as well. So lots going on to whet your clients' appetite for all things sport. Backing on from that, we're really kicking off a unprecedented decade of sport. So lots going on in sporting events. So we have the NBA All-Stars that's recently happened in LA. We have the Women's US Open. We obviously have the World Cup that we're going to touch on slightly. The Super Bowl next year, and then ending with the Olympics at this moment in time with in 2028 the Olympics and Paralympics again that we're super excited about. So I just wanted to touch on the World Cup. I know obviously it's very disappointed, the results from last night, but we really do feel like, even if you're not going to the sports-civic team, it really will be a great experience to go, and we know people will still travel really to take in those stadiums and the experiences in the fan zones. So I just wanted to play you a quick video. So with the match schedule, we are hosting the opening USA game that we're really excited about. We will also be hosting some group stages, and then some of the different rounds, and then the quarterfinal. So that's what we've got at the moment. We also have on our website, which is great for any agents to take a look at, and we'll give you the QR code shortly, or to pass on to your clients. We have put in a dedicated FIFA World Cup page on our website, discoverlosangeles.com. It's going to be a one-stop shop, a hub for everyone, for all things World Cup, as and when information gets released, and really, you'll go to find all what you will need for a visitor to LA as part of the World Cup. So we'll give you where all the different watch parties are, the fan zones, advice on hotels, places to eat, all the different things that are happening around the World Cup in LA. So it's a great place to go and find out all that information for yourselves as an agent, and also to pass on to your clients. Just leave the QR code there for a second, but we can always share it afterwards as well. But that's on our website, discoverlosangeles.com. So I definitely recommend checking that out. So apart from the World Cup and all the exciting sports things that we've got going on, I just wanted to touch on a few, in the time that we've got, a few new other openings in the city. So really one that I'm excited about is the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. So if we have any George Lucas fans on the webinar today, here's one for you. So this is George Lucas's privately funded gift back to the narrative arts. So that's things like the illustrators, the animators, that all help to bring his movies back to life. As you can see, it's a phenomenal building. It really is absolutely fantastic. Around the top, there is a roof terrace that will give 360 some of the best views in LA. And inside it will be, as I said, the history and the storytelling of narrative art, as well as lots of props from, all of his well-known movies. So we're really excited about that opening later this year. Another exciting one is Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift. That's opening later this year as well. And this is a new roller coaster that's opening at Universal Studios Hollywood. It will go around 72 miles an hour, and it will be like you're part of the Fast and Furious movie franchise. You'll be drifting the Hollywood park, and it actually features it's got 360-degree spinning vehicles, so you really will feel you're part of the journey. So for any thrill seekers, adrenaline junkies, definitely would recommend that. We're super excited about that one opening. And then I just wanted to end with our travel trade website, and again, we can send you the link to this. We know everyone's super busy and don't always have the time to do online training programs, so we wanted to develop a travel trade toolkit So again, like a one-stop shop for all travel, for any travel agent or operator needs. So on there, you'll find things like suggested itineraries. So it could be 3 days of luxury in LA, things for family, things for couples, things to do on a budget. So you can really go on and discover all the different things and get some inspirations of things to do in LA and suggest to your clients. There'll also be there's obviously images on there, also fact sheets, what's new, pre-recorded webinars. Also, you're able to download our visitor guide and map. So definitely would recommend checking that out. As I said, we've only got 10 minutes today, so it's hard to fit everything in. So I definitely recommend going on there and discovering it, and taking the time to see all the different pieces of collateral that might be useful as and when you get time. And as I said, you can download our luxury guide, our travel trade guide, maps. You can also apply to be on our newsletter list as well to make sure you're keeping up to date with all things that are happening in LA. But that's me in a nutshell. I know that's a whirlwind for LA, but hopefully you've found it useful and be able to take a few key takeaways from there. But thank you so much for your time.
Lovely. Thanks, Hayley. Yeah, definitely. I do think, despite our disappointment last night, we will still have our sports enthusiasts traveling to the US. They love US sports, as Jenny and Ivan can attest to, with the NFL games and college football games that take place here. So hopefully we'll get an even bigger boost as well. But thanks very much for everything. And I think we will be sharing the decks and everything, and this call is recorded for anybody that needs the information or the QR code. So we are going to hand over to Gemma Webb, and she's going to talk to you all things New York State.
Thank you, Tara. There we go. There we go. Thank you very much, Tara. Welcome, everyone. My name's Gemma Webb, and I'm the Account Director for New York State. Today is really just to kind of highlight why to go to the state, and give you some useful resources, the top things to really do. So, as you can see, New York City, big driving force. It's an iconic destination and it is incredible. But the state is made up of 11 distinct regions. So use New York City as kind of your base for flying in, and then explore more. So New York City, and then you've got Niagara, and then all the way up to the Adirondacks as well. If you're going for a city break, 4 or 5 nights is a good amount of time, but to really explore doing the city and then going on to do more attractions, you really need 7, 10, 14 nights, and you can even include that as part of an itinerary that takes you up into Canada as well. So I think the map's a really good way just to sort of understand kind of how big the state is. Now, we know customers go to New York City time after time after time, and if you've got customers that are just going to the city but are looking to do something different, this is where you can kind of use your expertise and recommend some day trips out of the city for a complete change of pace and different scenery, really. So from New York City, the surrounding regions are Long Island, Hudson Valley and Catskills, which are all within about a 2-hour distance. They're really easy to get to, and I promise once they've been out for a day trip, they'll kind of want to return and explore more of the state. So some of the things that you might want to do on your day trip is obviously going out to Long Island, especially in the summer. You've got award-winning beaches, including the famous Hamptons. There's also the Gold Coast Mansion. So you can see here that's the Hecker Castle, which was the inspiration for Great Gatsby. But some of the other things you might want to do is go up to Legoland, perfect for families, about 1 hour and 15 minutes out of the city. And then you've got the walkway over the Hudson. This is the world's longest elevated pedestrian bridge. So you'll see people walking, cycling, skating across the bridge, and it gives you incredible views of the Hudson River and the surrounding scenery. So these are all kind of things within your local regions. Wineries are a big draw for the Hudson Valley region and for Long Island as well. You'll probably know Woodbury Commons as well, the shopping outlet, which is in Hudson Valley as well. So there's lots of things you can do literally for the day trip. So how to get around? The majority of people who are exploring the state will hire a car. It gives you the flexibility to go off the beaten track and see and do more. RVing is becoming more and more popular in the state as well. Great for families who maybe might be a bit more price conscious, and what a fun way to kind of travel around. But we're also really lucky to have the Amtrak service, which services the majority of the regions. So for clients who don't want to drive, you can use the Amtrak service. So from New York all the way over to Niagara, that's about a 10.5-hour journey. So don't do that all in one go. Stop off, like I said, in New York City, then stop off in some of those other regions, overnight for a couple of nights, use it as a base to go out and do some of the things I'm going to talk about today. And then the other service that goes from New York all the way up to Montreal, stopping in multiple areas, but 6.5 hours up to the Adirondacks area as well. So we're really lucky to have the rail service available. So what can you do? So we've left the hustle and the bustle of New York City behind. And literally, as soon as you kind of get out of the city, you are surrounded by outdoors nature. So I really recommend some of the attractions that you can do here. The big one is obviously Niagara Falls, and it's a very different experience than being on the Canada side because it's part of the state park, but you can still do Maid of the Mist, and it's just a really lovely experience. We've got a number of state parks across the state, including Letchworth State Park, which is known as the Grand Canyon of the East, where you can do like nature trails, you can take the hot air balloon across, Watkins Glen. There's a lot of these outdoor state parks that you can really enjoy that are very inexpensive to visit. The Erie Canal runs through the whole state, and this really connects the Hudson Valley region all the way over to Niagara, and celebrated 200-year anniversary last year. But you'll see people cycling, walking, even hiring like canal boats to go along the canal. For the nature lovers, the Wild Centre up in the Adirondacks is a great attraction. So you can see treetop woodland trails that you can enjoy. But get out on the water. So up in Thousand Island, you've got freshwater shipwreck diving. You can do the boating along the St. Lawrence River, and you can do cycling the Great Lakes Seaway Trail as well. So literally get out onto the water, get out and immerse yourself kind of in the outdoors. The Catskills is just 2 hours away from New York City. It's the birthplace for fly fishing, but if you want to do zip lining, hiking, whitewater rafting, this is all available. It's very accessible for everybody. If you want to do a nature walk, you can do that, but you can do the zip lining too. Then we've got culinary. So New York is definitely known for its food and its wine. So home to New York bagels, pizza, Thousand Island dressing, buffalo wings and maple syrup, just to name a few. But you are really experiencing locally produced food. So there's a great wine trail that you can do in New York State. So I've talked about Hudson Valley and the Long Island region, but Finger Lakes, Niagara, 85% of the wines produced in the New York State come from the Finger Lakes region. So you really are experiencing local produced wines like Chardonnay, Riesling and Pinot Noir. But it's also that craft beverage scene. So go to some of the distilleries, the cideries, and really have that authentic, locally produced drinks. The Culinary Institute of America is located in the Hudson Valley region. So for those foodies, definitely do like a tour of the campus or go to one of the restaurants where you'll be served by local students training to become chefs. But your money will go further in the rest of the state. So go out and have those authentic foods, the farm to table experiences, apple picking, farmers market. So it really is a foodie kind of place to go to. We have lots of history, so over 400 years of history, particularly around Albany, which is the state capital. So make sure you go to New York State Museum as well to hear a lot of the history of the state. But some other things just to mention, up in Seneca Lakes in the Finger Lakes, this is the birthplace of women's rights movements, so definitely go there. Up in Old Fort Niagara, this is a 300-year-old fort overlooking Lake Ontario, which was a vital part of the American Revolution. It's now a living history museum. Saratoga Racecourse. This is the country's oldest operating racecourse. So if you go in the summer, you get to see some of the racing as well. And of course, Lake Placid, so home of the Winter Olympics in 1932 and 1980. In 2022, they opened a big, massive complex. So it's got the second largest collection of artifacts and memorabilia from the Winter Olympics. But you can go there and there's events now, restaurants. So definitely a few things for the history lovers. Moving over to art and culture, Corning Museum of Glass is always put on to every itinerary. It's a great stopping point if you're coming through Catskills over to the Finger Lakes. Here you'll see some incredible pieces of glass. And if you want to, you can even blow your own pieces of glass and you've got a souvenir to take home with you. George Eastman, his home is located in Rochester in the Finger Lakes. He is the founder of Kodak. Up in Rochester as well is the Strong Museum of Play, which is a museum dedicated to play. And you know what, kids, adults like it just the same. So you'll go in, there's like Barbie, there's board games, magazines. So you really are stepping back in time and just reliving your childhood again. In the Catskills, I guess I've said about the birth of fly fishing, but it's also home to the Woodstock Festival. So this was a music festival for leading and emerging artists, and really was a moment in history. It's now been converted into more of a performing arts studio, but definitely worth considering if you're in the Catskills region. Cooperstown up in central New York, great beverage trail, but it's also home of the National Baseball Hall of Fame as well. And then if you have time when you're on the west coast of New York State, head to Chautauqua and Allegheny. One of the key attractions there is the National Comedy Centre. So you go in and it's very interactive. You'll get given wristbands so you can program in the types of comedy you're interested in. And as you go through kind of the exhibit, you'll be presented with that personalised comedy. Then moving on to FIFA, obviously we are welcoming the world to New York to celebrate FIFA, along with many, many events this year. We're hosting 8 games, including the grand final on the 19th of July. And you'll find there's various different fan festivals taking place, not only in the city, but outside of the city as well. So even if you don't have tickets, just go, and you're there at that time, go to some of those fan festivals, go into a bar, soak up that energy. But yeah, Long Island and Hudson Valley have 2 free fan festivals that you can enjoy. So you'll have music, entertainment, family activities to really kind of just showcase FIFA. So that really is kind of whistle-stop tour of New York State today. Please take some time, just have a look at our website. There's some really good information on here, just to really delve more into kind of those categories we've been talking about. We have a training platform with Travel Gossip, so I recommend completing that. And we've also worked with Inspire My Holiday, so we have a great agent training hub there, top tips, how to book your holiday for your clients as well. So that's, for me, those are my contact details. I guess hopefully today is just giving you an insight. Go to the city, but also go and spend some more time doing the outdoor activities, the history, and the incredible food scene. So hopefully it's made you surprised of what there is to offer alongside the city as well. So thank you for your time today.
Thanks, Gemma. Yeah, loads to do there and see. We don't, as I said, this is a 10-minute, so we don't expect everybody to remember this all word for word, but it just gives you a good quick insight, a refresh of some of the stuff that you guys know already, but you might be just something might come into your mind and you refresh on it and might help you get a booking over the line. So next we're going to head to Michael Collins, and he's going to tell us everything about Bradley International Airport.
Thank you, Tara. Just pulling up my presentation. Can everybody see my screen?
We can, Michael, go ahead.
Super. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining us on a Friday afternoon. I'm with Bradley International Airport, based here in Ireland. So TTR Travel Media is my day job, and we represent Bradley here in Ireland, UK, and we do a little bit of work around Europe as well. So in terms of location, Bradley is halfway between New York and Boston. It's probably the easiest way to remember. So it's just 20 minutes north of Hartford, which is the capital of Connecticut, but it's also 20 minutes from Springfield across the border into Western Massachusetts. So we tend to describe Bradley as the gateway to New England. It's not necessarily an alternative to New York or Boston. If you have clients that want to fly into New York or Boston, we recommend that you fly them into New York or Boston. But if they're doing a twin center, if they're doing a fly drive, if they're moving around the state or the region, the New England area, that is, Bradley is a great gateway. So it's literally 2 hours from Boston and 2 hours from New York. It can be accessed from New York, for example, by bus and train, and likewise from Boston by bus, and I've done both. And in fact, a twin center is lovely. I've gone into New York and then taken the train along the coast into Connecticut and then up towards Hartford and then on towards Bradley. So the question really for you as agents is, where is your client going? What is the booking? Is it, a New York shopping trip? Well, then obviously fly your clients into New York. But if they're moving around in the New England area, Bradley Airport is a great access and great gateway into the region. It's also a small airport, so it's incomparable, probably the size of Cork Airport, so very easy to get in and out of. And we find that a lot of clients like the airport for its size. So JFK can be obviously a big airport, whereas Bradley is an airport to get in and out of very easily, very fast. And well located. It's got 2 major freeways going east and west and north and south. So no matter where your client is heading to in the greater region of New England, great access by car as well. Apologies, my screen seems to have frozen here. Let me jump back in here. So the Aer Lingus service is seasonal. It takes a scheduled break during January and February. It came back 3 times a week during March, from the beginning of this month. And now at the end of this month, as in this weekend, it moves back to a daily service right through the summer. So daily from Dublin Airport direct into Bradley Airport. Bradley International Airport, which is Hartford, Connecticut, and runs right through till October, and then moves back to 3 times a week, October, November, December, or end of October into November and December. Size is important. It is small, it is quick, it is efficient. It's one large building that has everything in the same facility. So you're in and out literally in 5 to 7 minutes. So they say in Bradley you can land and depart the aircraft and from the gate be curbside in a car or in a taxi within 7 minutes. On departure, Bradley has all the facilities that you would expect from a large international airport, but obviously the convenience of being small. It has a new departure lounge, which has just been upgraded, and business class passengers with Aer Lingus have access to that lounge. But the lounge can also be purchased, or access can also be purchased for those who want to upgrade their experience a little bit. The airport has just finished a 250 million infrastructure investment. So everything is new and very well laid out, and literally it has all the convenience and facilities that you would expect in any large international airport. I have a short video to show you here, and it is short, it's only just over a minute, which shows you the experience of landing and connecting in Bradley. So there you go, short and sweet. Don't want to keep you long on a Friday afternoon, but a very simple message. The route now from this weekend is back to a daily service for the summer right through to October, and then goes 3 times a week from the end of October. I'm based here in Dublin and happy to help any agents with anything that you might need in terms of selling the airport and the region. And obviously, I can put you in contact with the Connecticut Tourist Board, who are happy to help. You have my email address on screen there. And thank you again and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, I think sometimes with the smaller airport, especially after doing pre-clearance, pre-immigration in Dublin for all our US carriers, they land as a domestic. So they just sail through. So 7 minutes sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. So we will move on to Tony Lane, who is our executive director here for this, but he's also in his other hat, Discover New England. So Tony, if you can take over and do your presentation for New England.
Okay, thank you very much, Tara, and good afternoon, everybody. So as Tara quite rightly said, Tony Lane is my name, and I represent both Discover New England and Meet Boston for trade engagement in the Irish market. So just a little bit about the region itself and place it within the United States. So as you can see on the map on screen, the area that is colored in navy blue up at the top right-hand corner of the US is the New England region. And although it looks small on the map of the US, that is in fact about 3 times the size of Ireland. So it's quite a big surface area, and it contains 6 states. So you've got the northern New England states of Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. And you've got the southern New England states of Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. And there is quite a division between northern New England states and the southern New England states. The southern New England states are more densely populated. They've got the big cities like Boston, Providence, and Hartford. There's lots of culture, attractions, things like that, whereas the northern New England states are less densely populated. And you actually get areas, especially in parts of New Hampshire and Maine, that are genuine wilderness. So completely uninhabited, forested, and all within a very short drive of Boston. So you can get out into wilderness in about 2.5 hours. So very, very easy to get out there. So just looking at the airlift, we're absolutely blessed with the airlift that we have into the New England region. And we actually have 3 different airlines that serve the area. So we've got Aer Lingus, Delta Airlines, and JetBlue. So Aer Lingus have their Dublin to Boston, which is a triple daily service during peak season. For people on the West Coast, we have the Shannon to Boston, which is going to 10 times per week during peak season this year. And as Michael said in the previous presentation, we also have Dublin to Bradley International in Hartford, which is halfway between Boston and New York. And, you know, if your clients are going into, you know, they want to spend time in Connecticut or Western Massachusetts, it's a great option, and for fly drives as well. Delta it's a mostly year-round service, Dublin to Boston under 767. So it stops for a brief time in January and early February, but all the rest of the year around that. And then we also have JetBlue as well, so a seasonal service Dublin to Boston on an A321. So that runs from March until late September, early October. So great, because we've got 3 airlines, it means that there's great competition and it does help keep the costs down. So just a little bit about the seasons. It's a bit of a cliche in travel marketing that a season has 4, or that a destination has 4 distinct seasons, but it really is the case in New England. So you get very cold and crisp winters, and especially in northern New England, you can expect snow. And there's a significant chance of snow in the southern New England states as well. But it's unlike Ireland, it's very, very well geared up for snow. Even when they had a blizzard a few weeks back, very, very bad weather, nothing, everything continued to go. There was some flight delays or cancellations, but nothing really serious. So very, very well geared up for it. And it's also a particularly cozy time to visit the region. So very, very nice and very different than the kind of experience you get at different times of the year. By contrast, the summer is definitely hot and sunny. In Boston, you can expect temperatures 30 plus degrees, absolutely no problem. So very big contrast to what it's like in winter. So July and August, just to be aware, it can get hot. In spring, you usually get mild and pleasant weather, and it can be a very nice time to visit. But you do get occasional cold snaps. So some, depending on which way the wind is blowing, you can get times when it does get a little bit cold. But generally, once you're into kind of May, it's a particularly nice time to visit, and it's also you get really good value in terms of the hotels. And then autumn it's famous for the fall foliage in that region. So every kind of like late September into early October, the foliage it's a very forested area, and it just puts on this incredible natural display when the leaves change color. So busy, a very popular time for people to visit, not just from outside of America, but also domestic tourists as well. So 4 very different seasons. So just zooming into the city of Boston. So Boston is the biggest city in New England, and I like to say that it's not too big and it's not too small. So it's big enough that it has all of the things that you'd expect from a world-class city, right? So it's got incredible culture and history and art, great shopping, really great nightlife, incredible food scene. So all these kind of things that you'd expect, but it's not so big that it's overwhelming. So it's very easy to get around. Any fam trips that we take over, the one word that the participants say again and again is that it's easy. So it's famous for being a walkable city. You can get around, on foot, no problem. But it's also a very green and leafy city. So, when you're walking between, the different neighborhoods, it's going to be a very pleasant walk as well as everything else. It also happens to be one of the oldest cities in the US, so it has a history that goes back to 1630. And in spite of the fact that it has all of this incredible, history and culture and highway stuff, it still very, manages to be very modern and vibrant. Every time I go to Boston, I see something new and different. And it is a thing that at any given time, about 20% of the population are students. So it's a very youthful city. You've got, Harvard and MIT and Boston University. So to name just 3 different institutions, but there's lots. So very, very modern and vibrant place as well as everything else. So I'm just going to touch a little bit on the neighborhoods of Boston. So Boston actually has 23 different neighborhoods, and the ones that are on screen at the moment are just the ones that are in that kind of city center area. And just to give you an idea of the kind of scale of Boston, so you've got the downtown area there right in the center, but to walk from downtown to Back Bay, which is probably the most popular place for Irish visitors to stay, that's only about 15 minutes, a 15-minute walk. From downtown to Seaport, another 15 minutes. So you can get from one side to the other in, approximately 45 minutes. So it's a very, very manageable scale. And I know Boston gets compared a lot to New York, which is obviously a great experience in a big city. But just to put it into perspective, most of this area that you see on screen would fit into Central Park. So it's a very, very easy to actually get around Boston. Some places to note, as I mentioned about the Back Bay, beautiful brownstone buildings and avenues and boulevards. Loads of hotels down there, beautiful bars and restaurants. You've got the Seaport District, which is the newest area of Boston. So 10 or 15 years ago, that was all just industrial units and warehouses and stuff like that. So the kind of place where you wouldn't want to go unless you really had a reason to go down there. But it's had this incredible transformation, and there's some 16 beautiful hotels. They've got rooftop bars, very, very exciting place. A little bit like Dublin's Docklands, but actually there's just more to do. Really, really great. You've got a great Italian district in the North End, so fantastic food, and it's actually a thriving Italian community. You've got a great Chinatown, just close to the downtown area, and then Beacon Hill, which is the oldest part of Boston. So all the buildings there are all about 300 years old, and lovely, cobblestone streets and narrow laneways and stuff like that. So very, very cool place to go. So yeah, very manageable scale and very, very easy to get around. So just looking at, the kind of things that you can do in the broader New England region. So as I mentioned, and especially in northern New England, it is very well geared up for outdoor and experiential activities. It's got stunning countryside, and as I mentioned, genuine wilderness. It never ceases to amaze you. When you zoom in on Google Maps, to parts of Maine and parts of New Hampshire, it says unorganized territory, which means that there is absolutely nobody there. There's no county council or anything in the area. It's just, proper pristine forest. And as I said, very, very close to get to it from Boston. But, with all that great, outdoors, you've got great hiking, biking, kayaking, sailing, fishing. It's obviously a coastal region, so you have fantastic beaches all along. It's a great place for wildlife spotting, moose, black bears, white-tailed deer. Also happens to be one of the best places in the world to go whale watching. So you can do half day or full day trips from Boston and some of the other coastal towns. And there is genuinely a really good chance of seeing, whales when you go out on them. Winter sports, obviously, because the snow is practically guaranteed in winter, they have world-class facilities in Maine and New Hampshire for skiing and snowboarding. But if, skiing and snowboarding are not your thing, you can also, experience the snow and the outdoors by snowmobiling, dog sledding. So lots of different options there as well. Um, the region has incredible history. So obviously you've got the colonial era, and that goes right back to 1620 with the founding of Plymouth and Plymouth Rock, and you've got the Mayflower ship. But there's a stunning open air museum that you can go and visit if you want to get a handle on that particular era of history. So it's called Plymouth Patuxent Museum. And it's a Native American village and an English settler village side by side. And you have people in the costumes of the time that will, tell you all about what life was like back in the 1600s. Another place that's really interesting, and we get asked about it all the time, is Salem. So the town of Salem is about 45 minutes north of Boston. And obviously, it's famous. It's been made famous from different movies over the years, but it's obviously it's the where the infamous witch trials happened in the 1690s. So you can go along and learn all about the history of those witch trials, and pretty grisly part of history, but very interesting nonetheless. The region, and especially Boston, was also a real hotbed of revolutionary activity during the American War of Independence. So in Boston, they have what's called the Freedom Trail, and it's about 3 kilometers long, and it's quite literally built into the ground. It's a trail, like a brick trail that will lead you to all the burial grounds, the meeting houses, the Tea Party ships and museum. So you can do it yourself, walk along and see all these places. You could do it in the morning, no problem. Or else you can get a guided tour, and you can have a guide tell you all about it. And then obviously you've got all the history to do with JFK, the JFK Presidential Library and Museum, incredible complex that tells you all about the life and legacy of JFK. It goes into the election, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the space race. So many, great place to learn all about that particular history. And a couple of other places as well. You've got the JFK Museum in Hyannis. So the Kennedy family compound is actually still in the town of Hyannis. And close by you have a smaller museum, but nonetheless pretty interesting to visit as well. And then the JFK birthplace in Brookline, a short distance from Boston as well. So lots of history to see and experience. Culture, it's actually quite a wealthy region, and yes, Boston has got incredible culture and cultural institutions, but you actually find incredible culture all the way through the region, and in places where you might not expect. But just some kind of highlights: the Boston Fine Arts Museum is the second biggest collection of art in North America. Rhode Island Institute of Design, the Boston Symphony Orchestra, the stunning Gilded Age mansions in Newport, Rhode Island. You've got the Harvard Museum of History, and in fact, there's 4 different Ivy League universities in New England. So Harvard, Brown, Dartmouth, and Yale, and they are just fantastic to walk around the campuses and get to see the different museums and exhibitions that they have on at any given time. But it's not all just highbrow stuff. There's lots of family-friendly stuff like the Basketball Hall of Fame, the Amazing World of Dr. Seuss, the Eric Carle Museum of Picture Book Art, and the New England Aquarium. So lots to see and do. So I'm just going to finish up just to tell you a little bit about the food scene. So obviously, culinary tourism, it's a massive part of how much people will, enjoy their holiday experience. So I'm happy to say that the New England region has an incredibly sophisticated food culture. They've always had great produce, great seafood, lots of local, farms providing great produce. But especially over the last 20 or 30 years, the food offering has just really improved and is absolutely world class. Great craft beer scene, and it's a very diverse ethnic, cuisine scene as well. I mean, people from all around the world have made New England their home, and it's reflected in the kind of cuisine that they have. So not just the traditional chowders and lobster rolls, but so much more, really, really so much more. So that's it from me. I am located in Dublin, so if any of you need, help to try and design an itinerary for a client or need a steer, how much time do you spend in whatever places, I'm more than happy to take an email or phone call. So there are my details. So thank you very much.
Lovely. Thanks, Tony. Yeah, I can totally agree with you on Boston. I had one of the best Italians in Little Italy in Boston many years ago. Okay, so we're going to move to Jenny and try Aer Lingus again. About that, guys. Friday afternoon.
Yeah, sorry, guys. I've removed the videos because the deck is too large. So yeah, Tony, if you just want to continue on through the slides. So if you're going to drive them. So if you want to click through. So yeah, the big news is that we turn 90 this year. So we started our first flight in 1936, a flight from Dublin to Bristol. And we've been flying across the Atlantic for over 65 years. And today we serve 26 long-haul destinations, including our short season to Barbados, but 25 long-haul routes. And really, it is the growth, basically connecting our UK and European network over Ireland onto North America. So next slide, Tony, thank you. So today if you want to just continue on clicking, that'd be great. As I said, we've 26 routes, but over the last 4 years, we've added 10 new gateways to North America. This year in 2026, you'll see increased capacity to those firm favorites like New York and Boston from both Dublin and from Shannon. And this year we added 2 new routes to North America, Raleigh-Durham and Pittsburgh. So both of those are coming on stream in addition to Cancun in the Mexican Caribbean. So next slide. Thank you. Just, I suppose, really to call out this winter, from winter 24-25, Dublin is the fastest growing airport in Europe. So it grew by 17%. So you can see kind of the ranking there from Heathrow down, but this winter grew by 8.2 million seats. So it's continuing to grow. Our leadership team, along with other airlines and politicians, are continuing to lobby to remove the passenger cap, but that's all looking good. But a fun fact is that every 7 seconds, a passenger is flying to North America from Dublin Airport. So it really is phenomenal when you think about just the size of our country. And it really is led by our geographical position on the cusp of Europe. So next slide, Tony, thanks. As I said, just a population of over 5 million. Aer Lingus is now ranked the 2nd largest European carrier across the Atlantic. So it's something that we're truly, truly proud of. Next slide. As I said, 26 routes, 10 new destinations over the last 4 years, and you can just kind of see the growth, but that's really underpinned by traffic kind of both ways. Irish people traveling to North America, but also North America connecting through Dublin and onto our European network. So we estimate anywhere between 35 to 40% of every aircraft across the Atlantic has passengers connecting onto our European network. Next slide. We're continuing to grow, and you can continue on there, Tony, with our increasing our fleet. So we have a fleet of Airbus aircraft, 28 in the fleet, 12 A330-300s, 3 200s, 8 LRs and 5 XLRs. And what the XLRs are allowing us to do is to open up new gateways. So these secondary cities that you're seeing, like Raleigh, Durham and Pittsburgh, that probably wouldn't warrant, you know, a daily service or 4 times a week, you know, into these secondary markets. So we're continuing to grow across the Atlantic, and I'm sure in 2027 there'll be more new routes to add to the network. Next slide. Yeah, you can continue on. So this again, just, you know, is underpinned by our partnerships. So we are in the Atlantic Joint Business with our colleagues Tara and BA and American Airlines, amongst other carriers. But with the strength of the American Airlines network, this allows us to open up all of these cities across North America. So connecting through their hubs and onto these different destinations on EI code. So whilst you may be booking an Aer Lingus flight on our metal, you can connect on with our partners across the Atlantic to all of these gateways. Next slide. Yeah, if you want to continue on. So our product offering, as you know, we have a 2-class service in business and economy. So in our business cabin, we have kind of upgraded our amenity kits. We continue to change the menus in line with the season. We always try to bring Irish products on board. And in our economy cabin, we also have reintroduced the complimentary alcoholic beverages with your economy meals. So complimentary wines and spirits. So continue on. Our lounges in Dublin Airport, we have the Air Club Lounge, but as you know, that is before CBP. So for our business class passengers, they can access 51st and Green, which I'm delighted to report is opening next week. So that is opening on the 31st of March. It's after undergoing a 11 million refurbishment, and it's going to have all these different zones. So you're going to have business areas, a VIP zone, family zone. So, you know, different zones for kind of work and recreation. So I think we're really all excited to see what the 51st and Green has to offer. And they've also put in a lot more seat capacity. So they've put in 285 additional seats. So we're really excited to see that. But Aer Lingus do have their own lounges in North America. So you can go onto our website and you can see where our lounges are in each of those different cities. And then also for business passengers flying back into Dublin Airport, as you come through passport control where you collect your bags, there is a revival lounge on the very right-hand side. So that's an area where people can go and have a shower, get a pastry, fresh coffee. You can get like your shirt or your trouser suit pressed, and off you go into your business meeting or start your day after a long overnight transatlantic flight. So next slide, Tony. CBP, hopefully you all know, is, I suppose, the key for us both at Dublin and Shannon airports, and that allows us to offer our passengers ease of transport and when they land, as Michael said, in the likes of Bradley. Most of these airports, you're arriving as domestic passenger, so off you go from gate to curbside within minutes, and you know, avoiding those long emigration queues. So Tony, if you want to continue on. I have to mention Air Club, our loyalty program. So hopefully everybody on this call is signed up for Air Club. And even if you don't fly with Aer Lingus a lot, I would still encourage you to sign up. So you would join as a green status member, but you can link your Air Club with loads of different retail outlets with the likes of Uber. So you can link those two accounts every time you take an Uber. If you could just mute out, we're just getting a bit of background noise. If you can get your Avios points. So there's loads of different outlets that we've teamed up with, and it really, really is a benefit. So if you do have a lot of frequent flyers, there's a 4-tier program: Green, Silver, Platinum and Concierge, offering loads of different benefits like fast track, lounge access, complimentary upgrades and so on. So please do join yourselves if you aren't already, or encourage your customers to join. Next slide. This is something you may have heard from other airlines. A lot of airlines are partnering with Starlink. So this is where you will be able to access Wi-Fi. We're rolling this out across all of our fleet. It's complimentary, so it's free to connect. It's going to be rolling out on one of our first flights next week, and then it will be rolling out throughout our fleet, short haul and long haul. So you'll be able to download movies, surf, and, you know, access kind of all your data on board. I did have a slide in the original deck that I wanted to play, and it's around our college football, but apologies, I couldn't share the screen. But it was really just to kind of give you a taste of what's coming. So this year we're going to have the Texas Horned Frogs playing against the North Carolina Tar Heels in the Aviva Stadium. We always link in with Visit USA to do a competition to be able to win places at that game. So we'll look forward to doing that again this year. And then in 2027, it'll be the Pittsburgh Panthers versus the Wisconsin Badgers. And apologies because of my tech, I wasn't able to play that video, but that's going to be something really exciting later this summer. And on behalf of myself and all the sales team, Ivan, Lindsay, and Lisa, for your leisure account managers and our corporate account managers, we just want to thank you for your continued support. And if there's anything you need, please reach out to the team. So thank you. Back to you, Tara.
Thanks, Jenny. That's great. Yeah, looking forward to all those college footballs. I don't know where they come up with the names, but thanks to all our partners for today. So Hayley had to leave early. We had Gemma, Michael, Jenny, and Tony. Thanks for giving up your time and giving us a quick insight into your areas. And I hope it was really helpful to all of you who turned up on a Friday afternoon to do it. And hopefully the next one then Tony will roll out and we'll get the same turnout or better. And we'll keep going on this to give you a quick refresh on all things USA for travel. If you do have any questions, just put them into the chat if you want, and we'll forward them on to whoever it's referenced to or relevant to. And as said, Tony, I think we will be sharing the deck, will we, when we after this, so you'll all have the Jenny's video. Maybe we might be able to share it, I'm not sure. But yeah, thanks everyone, have a great weekend, and thanks again for coming.
Thanks, Tara. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.